The difference between young and old. We've all been there. Occasionally, the easiest of tasks takes an older person seemingly ages longer to complete than feasibly possible. This isn't something new, and it isn't something that appears out of pure old age. This is because of something called the generation gap. A generation gap is used to describe the differences in outlook or opinion between people of different generations. This paper covers the generation gap based around technology and its effects in the 20th century, as well as those currently taking place on society. It goes over how we have reached this point, the use of smartphone by generation, the skill difference between generations, the prospects hiring agents view potential employees with, how one company has abused the U.S. judicial system, and why social media is used more by Generation Z. It likewise analyzes observations I have personally held throughout my time working at Walgreens. The main objective of this paper is to compare the effects of the technological generation gap taking place between baby boomers, millennials, and Generation Z regarding their use of computerized technology and its advances in the current world. The 20th century technology jump. The 20th century was not a peaceful time period for the United States of America. There were many wars they became involved with, but the most relevant is the Cold War. During the Cold War, consisting of the arms race and countless espionage attacks between affiliated countries, technology unsurprisingly advanced exponentially, even bringing us to walk on the moon in 1969. In 1945, the first computer was created for military use and dubbed ENIAC, Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. The ENIAC was improved upon year after year, resulting in a computer small enough to be sold commercially coming to exist in 1951. In 1983, the Internet took on its first truly public form with Tim Berners-Lee's invention of the World Wide Web. Since the invention and combination of these two technologies, they have both improved and expanded upon to bring us to the 21st century, where smartphones are commonplace and more Americans have cell phones than those that don't by a vast majority. Now, if you want to share your thoughts and get your personal beliefs out there, it's easier than ever. The smartphone. Now that extremely powerful computers have become small enough to fit in your pocket, the number of its possible uses have become seemingly infinite. Many workplaces even require you to own a cell phone to even apply. In 2019, it was reported that the average adult spends 3 hours and 30 minutes using the mobile internet on their smartphone per day, using them to either shop, browse news sites, use social media, or any other of the many possible things they can do. As of 2019, 81% of American adults own smartphones, but 15% still carry cell phones and 4% refuse to get a phone altogether, regardless of the many uses smartphones have. Why is that? Well, especially if they are older, they are continuing to use what they already worked hard to learn. The first mobile cell phone available for the public was introduced in 1983 and held the hefty price tag of $3,995. After 1993, it became a little more affordable, but not enough for everyone to rush out and buy one. Take note, this was only 27 years ago. If you were already 30 at that time, then you're already used to life without them, and it seems like an unnecessary luxury item. Right now, that person will be 57, and the chances of them suddenly upgrading to a smartphone aren't likely to increase, especially someone not knowledgeable about them. From personal experience working at Walgreens and helping elderly customers, I can personally attest that many elderly people would much rather talk to someone and ask for their opinion than look up a solution themselves on their phones, since that is what they grew up doing. The most prominent case of this is asking what size battery they need for their hearing aid, thermometer, TV remote, etc. Of course, I don't know off the top of my head which battery fits their device, so I look it up on my phone. I understand why they would prefer not to upgrade, but I believe that as many more things move to the internet, having a smartphone becomes even more necessary, and not having one only means you are missing out. Technological skill difference. Different people know how to do different things. That much is obvious. People learn from experience, and everyone experiences different things. As I mentioned with smartphones, older generations prefer to use the cell phone over the smartphone, regardless of the many applications of the smartphone due to their experiences with cell phones. If you ask me to use an old flip phone and type a text message using the old T9 style of keypad, it would probably take me 10 minutes to type out a long text message using it, purely because I've only ever done it once or twice. If you have an old flip phone lying around, try it. After using a smartphone for so many years, reverting to that style and trying to type would take longer than you'd think, just because you lack the recent experience, but you'd also end up able to do it from muscle memory. Nowadays, typing classes are becoming required in high or middle school, and children can type faster compared to older adults who never held such classes. Generation Z, born from 1997 to 2012, have grown up only knowing this world where it's so easy to access information and communicate from across the globe, and therefore will grow up naturally knowing how to operate computer-oriented equipment. Meanwhile, it will take older people longer to train themselves after seeing this stuff for the first time. Hiring younger employees. In the eyes of an employer, Hiring younger, less experienced people is earning a higher prospect now than how it used to be. In some of the largest technology countries in the world, the average age is decreasing. In 2016, AOL's average age was 27, Facebook's average age was 28, LinkedIn's average age was 29, and Google's average age was 30. Younger people, both millennials and Gen Z, are more likely to get a job surrounding technology since their natural affinity for tech and their ability to apply and understand different technologies quickly sets them apart from other generations in the workforce. Not only that, they are viewed as a blank slate or someone that can be specifically trained to meet their organization's needs. Lastly, they are viewed as relatable. Hiring younger people who use social media and are connected to the online world allows them to be a greater asset towards the company. Big corporations' abuse. In 2016, the average age of a full-time magistrate judge was 50 years old, and the current average age of the Supreme Court is 67. There are many technical things that these older people are trying hard to understand, but still can't get a full grasp of how they work. Louis Rossmann, owner of Rossmann Repair Group, has been part of a running lawsuit against Apple for years for repair shops all over the country to be able to freely repair Apple products without all the harsh repercussions that Apple places on repair companies who try to do so. Apple's main claim is that when a repairman like Rossmann opens up the back of a MacBook and replaces a wire, he is infringing on the copyright to the schematics of the device. They use bigger, more exaggerated words in court to make it seem much more complicated than this, and due to the older judge's misunderstanding of how this technology works, they either end up ruling with Apple or protest giving a final decision. Rossmann's fight with Apple has been going on for years now due to this cycle. I believe that if there were younger judges who understood more about computers in the judge pool, repair companies would get the right to repair Rossmann is fighting for, and customers would no longer have to pay a premium for a simple $50 repair. Until that day, however, the fight will continue. Social media usage. In 2020, the use of social media by Generation Z and millennials continues to rise, especially right now, where it is not recommended to leave your house unless absolutely required. Even without the stay-at-home order, the number of younger users on these social media apps rises, and the number of older users stay low. This isn't just because that's how it works. It is because of how the apps are created. These apps and software we find on the App Store or Play Store are oriented specifically towards the younger age group. Flashy images, bright colors, and intense images are all older people can see when they see a young person using the optional flares on these apps. But there are still many parts of these apps that even older people can use to connect with their grandkids or children and become less lonely that they just don't know about. They don't understand how similar it is to talk to someone on FaceTime as in person, and I believe it's the job of us fluent in using these apps to help the older generations learn about how to use them instead of leaving them ignorant, misunderstanding, and feeling left out. How should it work? Coming from a biased member of Generation Z, what do I think about the differences in skill sets caused by our generation gap? I think that both generations are essential, but needed in different areas. For example, I believe that those elderly throughout the technology business should be teaching their experiences and what they've learned to the young, rather than continuing to work until they outwork their ability to teach. I believe the young should enter the workplace and learn from their predecessors before even being put to work, and then learn from soaking up experience alongside their coworkers before finally being able to work independently. It's the same as getting your degree. You must learn before you can officially say you're ready for the job. Yes, you did already train for the job by getting that degree in the first place, but having the real life experience is much more valuable than textbook learning. Conclusion and final thoughts. I believe computers have even become the cornerstone of our modern society. If computers were to suddenly disappear, our society would cease to function. I would go as far as to say computers were more important than government itself. If someone could find financial gain, unofficial policing and protection could be done using modern computers. Right now, new generations continue to move computers forward and rethink how they can and should be utilized. Meanwhile, older generations are finding a balance between using both the new and old technologies to make their lives easier, but not entirely different. Overall, the younger generation should be helping the older ones better understand how new technologies work instead of leaving them behind. Meanwhile, the older generation should be focusing on improving their younger counterparts. If people continue to live longer than 30 years, generation gaps will continue to exist, yet be essential to evolve technology. If everybody understands current age technology, that means we're stagnant and have ceased to evolve. Alright.